Hello friends, I am going to start a new topic, that is brachial plexus. In the upper limb, it is a very important topic and it may come as a long question alone. Then let's start it. First of all, what is plexus? Plexus is a network of nerves or vessels in the body. Then how many plexus are there in our body? The answer is there are 4 plexus. They are cervical, brachial, lumbar and sacral. Then we are going to study the brachial plexus. Most nerves of the upper limb arise from the brachial plexus, and the brachial plexus is consists of then the brachial plexus is consist of roots, trunks, divisions, cords, branches. R, T, D, C, B. R roots, T trunks, D divisions, C cords and B branches. Then first come to the roots. The roots are constituted by anterior primary rami of spinal nerves C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1 with the contribution from C4 and T2. C4 and T2 also constitute the brachial plexus. So then let's see trunks. There are total 3 trunks. C5 and C6 together form the upper trunk, C7 alone form the middle trunk, and the C8 and T1 together form the lower trunk. Then come to the divisions. Each trunk have 2 divisions. They join to form cords. Then come to the cords. First one is lateral cord, medial cord, posterior cord. Lateral cord have 3 branches, medial cord have 5 branches, posterior cord have 5 branches. Trunk, then division, then cord, then comes what? Branches. We will read according to this. Then first C5 and C6 together they form the upper trunk. They got united and they are forming the upper trunk. This one is the upper trunk. Then C7 alone form the middle trunk. And C8 and T1 together form the lower trunk. Then divisions. Each of the trunk is again divided into 2 divisions, anterior division and posterior division. Now let's draw them. Anterior division, posterior division. Anterior division, posterior division. Here also anterior and posterior division. Then how the cords are formed? Then we know that there are 3 cords: the lateral cord, medial cord and the posterior cord. The lateral cord is formed by the anterior division. This one is anterior and posterior, anterior and posterior, anterior and posterior. The anterior division of the upper trunk and the anterior division of the middle trunk. So let's make it anterior, and this one is anterior. The form is the lateral cord, and the lateral cord, then medial cord, then third one is the posterior cord. The posterior cord is formed by the posterior division of all the 3 trunks. Upper trunk have posterior division, middle trunk has also posterior division, lower trunk has also posterior division. all the posterior trunks unites to form, here they are united, this one also united to form the, which one? Posterior cord. Then this one is also included, this one is included, this one included, this one included, this one included. Then the anterior division of the lower trunk is remaining. This one alone forms the medial cord. This is the point to remember, that this one is medial cord, not middle. The division here is the middle trunk. The trunk is the middle trunk, but the cord is the medial trunk. Then come to the branches. I will tell you a mnemonic which will be more easier to remember. That is, lateral cord have L, M and L, and the medial cord have 4M, 1, 2, 3, 4 and U, and the posterior cord have L, U, N, A, R, lunar. That is, the branches of the lateral cord are L, M, L. So now let's see what is the L stands for. L stands for lateral pectoral nerve. nerve को मैं इसे N डॉट लिख रही हूँ, lateral pectoral nerve. Then M stands for musculocutaneous nerve, and the last L stands for lateral root of median nerve, AN, median nerve. This one is not medial, this is median. And the first M stands for medial pectoral nerve. The first L in the branches of lateral cord was lateral pectoral nerve, and the first M in the branches of the medial cord is medial pectoral nerve. Then second M stands for medial root of median nerve, and the third M stands for medial cutaneous nerve of arm. These are all medial. Then this one is, let me tell you, medial cutaneous nerve of arm. Then this one is the medial cutaneous nerve of, the previous one was arm, and this one is forearm. Then U stands for ulnar nerve. Then the posterior cord's branches, lunar, LUNAR. L stands for lower subscapular nerve. U stands for upper subscapular nerve, and N stands for nerve to latissimus dorsi, and A stands for axillary nerve, and R stands for radial nerve. Then I hope that it is more easier now to remember. So I will tell you one story so that you can remember the schematic representation of the brachial plexus more easily. That let us consider that C5, C6, C7, C8, C and T1 were friends who belong to a particular village. Then C5, C6 were of upper class family. So they together form the upper trunk, and C7 was a middle class family. But C8, T and T1 they were from a lower class family. So they form a lower trunk, and C7 alone form the middle trunk, and C5 and C6 they form upper trunk. When they went to a city for the higher studies, then they got divided. They got divided into anterior and posterior, and middle one also got divided into anterior and posterior. Sometimes he became anterior and sometimes he became posterior. Then the anterior divisions was more superior, so it formed the lateral cord. Anterior division of the upper trunk and the anterior division of the middle trunk, they both contribute to lateral cord. Then the posterior division was a little bit inferior, so they together form the posterior cord, and alone the anterior division of the lower trunk, it formed the medial cord. So I think it will be easier for all of us now. Thank you. Now let's have a look on the branches that supply to different muscles. The lateral pectoral nerve, this one was L, M, L. So the first one was lateral pectoral nerve. The lateral pectoral nerve supply the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. This one is pectoral, so it will be easier to remember pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. Then musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous, there is a mnemonic that is BBC. BBC stands for biceps brachii. Then second B stands for brachialis and C stands for coracobrachialis. Then L, lateral root of median nerve. It joins the medial root of median nerve. Then M, and U. The first M was medial pectoral nerve. The medial pectoral nerve supplies the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. So it will be easier to remember that the lateral pectoral nerve and the medial pectoral nerve, they both supply the same muscles: pectoralis major, pectoralis minor and pectoralis minor. Then the medial root of medial nerve. This joins the lateral root of medial nerve. Here we have already seen that the lateral root of medial nerve joins the medial root of medial nerve. Here the same thing is written here. Then the medial cutaneous nerve of arm. It sends sensory impulses over small area on the medial side. And the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, it supplies sensory impulse over large areas on medial side. Both are medial side, but cutaneous nerve of arm supplies sensory impulse over small area, but medial cutaneous nerve of forearm supplies sensory impulse to large area. This one is the difference: small area and large area. Then the ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve, 1/2 supplies to 1.5 muscle of front of forearm and 15 muscles of palm. And the lower subscapularis nerve supplies the teres major. The upper subscapularis nerve supplies the subscapulary muscle. Nerve to latissimus dorsi supplies muscles to the nape. It means
select the symbols. Let's see. Then the axillary nerve supply to deltoid and teres minor. The radial nerve, it is the thickest branch. It supply to triceps, 12 muscles of back of forearm. Then after the radial nerve, we have finished the muscle supply. Where the nerves supply, which muscles the nerves are connected to. Then the remaining part is the clinical part. So in the next video we will see about the clinical part. Till then, stay tuned, and if you like my work, then do like, share and subscribe my channel. It will be more helpful to make more and more videos. Thank you.